And welcome into another episode of Dan D'Antoni Sports. My name is Dan Snyder, joined tonight again by my good friends Dan O'Shea and Tony Casper. Dan Beebe still on this prolonged vacation. Gentlemen, how are you guys doing tonight?
Great. Doing good.
That is good to hear. Last time we spoke, which was 2 weeks ago, we got through the Kansas City Chiefs, excuse me, which is not quite halfway, I don't think. But we're going to finish up, hopefully, our free agency talk tonight. One thing that we do need to just go back and touch on, last time we spoke, we went over the Miami Dolphins and their acquisitions and whatnot so far. One thing has happened since that I think is big enough that we need to talk about, and that is Tyreek Hill traded from the Kansas City Chiefs to the Miami Dolphins. So, what a game changer for Miami. You go from having an injured Devontae Parker, an injured Will Fuller, and a rookie Jalen Waddle, to now you've got Tyreek Hill, you've still got Jalen Waddle, you bring in what I as a Cowboys fan think is a very solid number 2 option in Cedric Wilson. So that receiving core went from, in my opinion, from being not very good to, well, now they're stacked.
Yeah, I hate it.
Of course you do.
It's a good line of wide receivers, but my question just is, can Tua really throw the ball far enough for Tyreek Hill running that fast? Or is he going to have to back off?
No, I don't think there's going to be an issue. A lot of people point out that he hasn't thrown the ball very far. He actually, last season, if I remember correctly, had the longest completed pass in terms of air yards at 49.8 or something like that. So I don't think it's going to be an issue. I think the biggest issue is he didn't have an offensive line that gave him time. And when you're throwing on the run, you can't throw as far. I mean, we've seen him throw it somewhat deep and be accurate. I mean, he hit, I think it was Henry Ruggs in the national championship against Georgia, like right on the money on a 38-yard pass. So I don't think it's going to be too big of an issue. I think that's an overblown problem that people have made up because he doesn't have a very good offensive line and can't set and throw.
Yeah, the other thing with that is that Hill is also, very good at getting yards after the catch. Like, he can easily turn a 5-yard slant into a touchdown, making people burning up. That's an OBJ thing, too.
Yeah.
I mean, people have made solid careers doing that. Victor Cruz, his whole career was that.
My biggest criticism of Tyreek Hill has been, if you have a good corner and they know what they're doing, they can shut him down. If you make him play underneath you to the sideline, you've got a very good chance of stopping him. When he gets underneath you in the middle of the field, that's when there's a problem. So if you can keep him toward the sideline and underneath, you got a good job, or you got a pretty good chance at stopping the play at 10 or 12 instead of 60 or 70. But, yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge move for the Dolphins. I mean, they're going to need that time to be able to pass, but that's a heck of a three that you've got running there with Waddle, him, and it's well-rounded, way more options than he had last year, which was basically chuck it up to Waddle and hope he comes down with it.
Yeah. I mean, he's also got Mike Gesicki. The tight end is every quarterback's best friend, right? So I think he is pretty much set for weapons. Now they've got a somewhat decent running game. Who did they bring in? Raheem Mostert, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Chase Edmonds, right? We're talking about the Dolphins still?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the running back core, really. They had, I can't even remember his name off the top of my head, but he's
Myles Gaskin is not.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Miami is... I'm going based off of the letter of D for Dolphin. We haven't even talked about Miami yet. What am I doing? Oh, man. We messed this up. Well, I messed this up.
No, that's all right. We just basically covered half of the Dolphins' acquisitions right there.
Yeah, so what do you say we just get back into where we were? We left off with the Kansas City Chiefs, who got rid of Tyreek Hill. And now we're going to pick it back up with the Las Vegas Raiders. Man, I just don't understand what the Commanders are doing letting Garrett Gilbert go. But Raiders scooped him up. They also added a couple running backs. Amir Abdullah, Brandon Bolden, and a fullback, Jacob Johnson. The big acquisition, wide receiver Devontae Adams from the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, absolutely huge.
Yep. They also brought in wide receiver Demarcus Robinson and Mac Hollins on one-year deals. Former Jaguars tight end Jacob Hollister. Then we get into... They've done so many things. My God. Tackle Brandon Parker. Offensive lineman Alex Bars. Defensive tackle Bilal Nichols to a 2-year, $11 million. Brought in Vernon Butler on a one-year deal. Titans, former Titans defensive tackle Kyle Pico. Former Cardinals defensive end linebacker Chandler Jones. They brought in Micah Kaiser, Kyler Fackrell, Dallin Levitt. They traded for Rock Ya-Sin. And they brought in former Ravens cornerback Anthony Averett. They were busy. Some busy boys there in Las Vegas.
They were clearly looking for an overall changeover. I mean, after the Gruden fiasco, they were looking to change everything and try and move forward because obviously they proved that they were a playoff team last year, but they needed to make some drastic overhaul based on even with how difficult the off-season or off-the-field issues were last year, they were still a quality team, and they needed to change that up a little bit.
They also re-signed Max Crosby.
No.
So. Well, that's the biggest move of all.
Yeah, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I like what they did. I have like no issues. Obviously, a lot of people brought in for depth. Because no one's going to come here and think, oh, man, they brought in 3 great receivers in Devontae Adams, Demarcus Robinson, and Mac Hollins. One great receiver in Devontae Adams. A good receiver still in Demarcus Robinson. Mac Hollins is a guy you bring in for depth.
I mean, yeah, obviously. Your big explosion was going and taking Devontae Adams. You're giving Carr the best weapon he's had since Amari Cooper, and they couldn't get on the same page.
You're giving Carr the best weapon he's had since he was in college, and that was Devontae Adams then, too.
The same weapon, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that connection, we've seen that be working a lot around people who already have that familiarity with how they can connect, so...
Yeah, I mean...
And mind you, they still have Darren Waller, who's not a scrub when it comes to receiving the ball for Carr.
No, he's very good. Very good. Very good job by...
West was scary.
Yeah.
Yep, very good job by the Las Vegas Raiders. We're going to move on. Staying in the AFC West to the Los Angeles Chargers, who were also busy. Another huge quarterback signing, quarterback Chase Daniel, 1 year, $1.25 million. I don't know how these teams are doing it, but they're doing it. Re-signing Mike Williams to a 3-year, $60 million deal. Gerald Everett gets 2 years, $12 million, coming over from Seattle. Former Rams defensive tackle Sebastian Joseph Day on a 3-year, $24 million contract. Former Giants defensive tackle Austin Johnson, 2 years, $14 million. Christian Covington for a year. Traded for Bears linebacker Khalil Mack.
Absolute steal.
Yup. And then they signed former Patriots cornerback J.C. Jackson to 5-year, $82.5 million contract. Massive signing for former Falcons long snapper Josh Harris, 4 years, $5.6 million. And then Packers punter J.K. Scott. Also, another team very active, another team that nailed it. Everything that they were lacking, they seem like they're fixing up.
Yeah, they're trying to make the push from playoff team to Super Bowl team, and this offseason looks like it's definitely a step in the right direction for them.
Yeah, I agree with that. They focused on their need and they got it almost everywhere, and even things that they didn't necessarily need, they just made themselves more terrifying. I mean, vice versa, it can go either way. Imagine a quarterback running from Khalil Mack and turning around and Joey Bosa's right on the other side. Like, that's not a situation you want to be in.
And then they launch the ball, and it's either going to go right to Asante Samuel or J.C. Jackson.
Yeah, and then, mind you, you can also... I mean, Eckler was running like a beast last year.
Yeah, the Chargers did a great job. Very good job. Now...
yeah, they killed it.
Yep. They did. Now, we're going to move on to the Los Angeles Rams. Not quite as splashy, but they did some work. Wide receiver Allen Robinson, 3 years, $46.5 million. Kick returner wide receiver Brandon Powell. Offensive lineman Cole Shelton. Offensive tackle Josh Noteboom. And center Brian Allen. So they realized Andrew Whitworth was going to be retiring, and they replaced him fucking immediately.
Yeah.
They were like, Stafford ain't getting younger. We got to keep his ass upright.
Especially because they've got him for 4 more years. So.
Yep. Yeah. Very.
You've got to, and that's a huge loss. But you had to know once he won his Super Bowl, he was done. Player of the year or man of the year, and then Super Bowl. You go out on that note.
Yeah, he knew immediately after the game when he was playing with his kids. That's when he told his kids that he was going to be retiring. It wasn't even like any wait time. As soon as the kid sat down, he's like, "I'm going to stop playing football now." Like,
yeah.
You've earned it. You've worked very hard. You won yourself a Super Bowl. What is he? He's 40, right? He's 40.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they did a good job with getting the pieces they needed on the offensive line. I don't know that they necessarily got better at wide receiver. I mean, Allen Robinson is a nice piece, and Cooper Kupp is obviously still there, but, I mean, Brandon Powell's okay.
Yeah, they will have Robert Woods still.
No, they traded Woods.
No, they traded him to Tennessee.
Did they? I didn't see that trade.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, they traded him to Tennessee.
What about Odell Beckham? He's still a free agent.
Odell Beckham is an unsigned free agent.
But
right.
I wouldn't be super surprised to see him go back. However, it's weird because that injury, like, he was looking really effective, and then, of course, he gets an ACL in the Super Bowl. So, it's like our team's going to be willing to pay up for him because he's certainly looking for some money, but he might need to do another prove-it deal because of yet another injury.
Yeah.
He might just need to do a health check deal. Like, we know what you're capable of and we're willing to pay you, but we need to make sure you're not going to break again.
Yeah, something like if you play in at least 12 games, we'll give you the full contract.
I feel like it would be they could, what I would offer in most teams is a heavy incentivized deal based on games played and production, stuff like that.
Yeah, instead of doing like a set, like we'll give you $750,000 per game you play with bonuses. Instead of
just load them with bonuses, just so you don't have to really take a hit on the payroll.
Yeah, I'm sure he's looking for some guaranteed money because he knows he's seemingly got the injury bug too. So
well, I'm sure he is looking for that, but I wouldn't expect him to get a ton right off the rip.
Yeah. Should be interesting to see